Okay. Uh, Let me just open my AWS console. I'll just stop sharing for a moment. Let me log in. Let me just log into my AWS console. So now we are logged in. Is my screen visible to everyone? Just confirm. I hope my screen is visible, right? Okay. So yesterday we had already seen about the services of AWS. And today we'll be seeing, suppose like you have a team and how do you invite them. So uh, we have INT access management. So you can open IAM or you can search there in the services list IAM, and you will see this is the IAM dashboard. Okay. So in the right hand side, you will see AWS account ID. Then you have, if you want to create any alias for yourself, then you can create. If you want to provide a sign URL to your team member, you can provide this, and they will be able to log into your console. Okay. Then you can see multiple users group. You have users, multiple roles, so your policies. If you have any ID provider, if you want your team members to log in via your any of the Active Directory, if you have either it's a Google Workspace or Zoho Workspace or any of the SSO basically, then you can set up all those as well here. In the roles, you will be able to find all those roles, whatever you have created so far. In the policies, these are the like permissions. Like suppose that if you want to provide a specific permissions for EC2 or maybe just for Lambda or maybe S3, so you can find all those policies names here and you can use those policies. Then you have IAM users. These are the IAM users basically, which I have created so far, right? If you see I have multiple users, then if you want, you can create a group basically. So if you see I'm having a IAM user group here, then we have identity providers. You can add some of the SSO providers if you have any, like SAML Connect or OpenID Connect, whatever formats you have, right? Then we have account settings, what the password policies you can set. You can create your own regex for that. Currently, by default, there is of 8 characters, which includes uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and numeric characters, right? And these are the other settings as well. Then you have root access management, and then you have access analyzer as well. That what users have, which type of access to your dashboard. So you can see all those flows here. Now, suppose that you need to provide console access to a team member. Okay. So in that case, you can go with the users. You can click on create users, and then you can maybe type if I want to provide a team member access, and that is specifically for EC2 maybe. So let me just set up EC2 console access. I can give them. Okay, so I can click on next. Now either add user to a group already. If you want to add a user, if you have created a group and you can add to that. If you would not want, you can create like copy permissions from an existing user if you want, or you can attach the post tag. So for this, I want only to provide EC2 access. So what I will do, I'll type EC2 and I'll provide them EC2 full access. If you want, you can provide a specific access as well. For now, I'll just give them EC2 full access. If you want, you can give them read-only access or any specific permissions you want. So for now, I'll just give them EC2 access and click on next. So now I have this user which have this EC2 full access. Right. I guess I forgot to add console accesses. Provide user access to the AWS Management Console. Right. So I'll tick this and auto generate. I won't tick it on this change password for now. You need to tick this on so that when user sign in the first time, they will be asked to reset their password. Okay. For now, I'll just turn this off. We have already attached the policy. So now we have EC2 console access a username, then a password will be auto generated. Password reset is not required as I turned it off. Then the policy what I have attached is EC2 full access. So this user will be having only access to EC2. If they try to open S3 or something other services, that won't be allowed. So let's create a user. Okay. So this is the sign in URL with username and password. So I create open a new tab basically, and I'll open this URL. Okay. And then username and password. Username and password. Sign in. So now I am able to sign in the website, AWS console basically, and I will be only having access to EC2. So if I try to open EC2, right? So now I'm able to open instances, and my region is Ohio, US East 2. So if I change the region to US East 2, and now I'll be able to view all those instances, which is what was in my main account, right? Now you see, we had four instances in my main account, which I am now able to see. But if I try to open any different service, and in that case, in S3, it won't be visible anything. So in S3, nothing is visible, right? Because I do not have the permission itself. So you do not have permission to list buckets, right? So that's how the policies work. Now I'll just disconnect this and open Scali. Okay. So what is IAM basically? To manage users or access, right? So you can create a user, then attach policies or add to a group, right? So that's how IAM works. You can simply create a user, provide a console access, or if you want to create an API keys or something, you can do that as well. And then you can create like user, then attach policies and add to a group. And then once you do that, you get an username and password for console access. Now, what happens if you want to provide with API keys? So not always you need this console access, right? So most of the time you need API keys. So how that works? So I'll just click on continue, and maybe I will just delete that. Let me just refresh. EC2 console access. I will delete this. Now, suppose that if I want to create like S3 API keys, right, to upload files from a backend service, you need API key and API secret so that you can upload. In that case, maybe I can do S3 test keys. And in that case, you do not need a console access. Hmm, who did unmute? Okay. So when you need API keys, you don't need to take care about this console access. You can simply click on next. Then you can attach policies directly. So I need S3 access. So I can do S3 full access, or if you want something different policies, you can attach that as well. So I can click on next and then click on create user. So now in this case, S3 test keys. Now you have options to create an access key for this, right? So now you can use these keys when you are working with the backend. So I can click on create access key, and it will ask for what you want. Either you need for CLI access if you want to access from terminal, or if you want for local code within the AWS infrastructure or application or third-party service. So for now, like we'll be using other. Then click on next and click on create access key. So now you are getting this access key and you are also getting a secret key. So you can download this CSV file or you can copy this and utilize this keys, right? So I won't be showing you the keys for now, of course. Uh, so now you have this API key generated, and now you can use this API keys to work with any backend service. So if you want to use S3 in your backend, you would need an access key and secret key, and you can utilize this. Okay. So is it clear for IAM role? Is it clear? Everyone not for poll. Only one person is active in the class. Okay, no worries. I'll just delete this for now. Click on confirm. Okay. So IAM is already clear for S3. We had already seen yesterday, right? So we have multiple, like we can create buckets if you want. You can copy the policies. Then we have the permissions, how you want to add the bucket policy, if you want the cost to enable or not. So you have the cost policy, bucket policy you have, and if you have, you can see the properties of this bucket. If you need the metadata, how you want to update the metadata configurations, you can do that. You can also see the metrics for this. I guess for this metrics won't be very much. I can show you metrics for this maybe. So if you see, we have 1 terabyte of data almost, and the total number of objects is 88,000, right? So I have 88,000 files, and I have around 980 GB of data. You can see all those data metrics in this. If you want to see about the lifecycle rules, or if you want replication rules, you can set up all those. Now, S3 also provided with the file system. So the way similarly to your disk storage, same way now it works with the S3 as well. Earlier it doesn't had the support about this. They only support object storage, but now they support the file system as well. Okay, so this is the S3. We can create a backend service and see how you can use S3 from the REST API for uploading of files. How many of you are aware of like Node.js? Which programming language do you know basically? Anyone? Uh, which programming language you know? JavaScript, Python, or whatever, you know, C++ and Java, right? So yes, I'll be showing you with the Node.js right now. You can now work similarly with this Java as well. I hope there is an SDK with Java as well for S3, AWS SDK for Java. Yes, there it is. If you're working with the Spring Boot or something, you can use that. Uh, for now, I would be using JavaScript using the Node.js and Express.js for setting up a REST API. You can also use Claude, ChatGPT, or something to create this. There is nothing much. Okay, so I just create a new session. Okay, I will use this. I can create index.js. I will install Express.js. You can also ask ChatGPT if you want. That would be, I guess, much more easier for you all. You can ask simply create a REST API to upload file in S3 and in your own language using like Java if you want or Python if you want. That it's basically, I guess, it would be maximum of 50 lines of code, and that would be maximum, I guess, for like using Node.js. You see, they are now using Express.js with Multer to upload files. We have an AWS client S3. So first of all, let me set up the Express. Okay, so we have this Express. I'll just copy this. Right. Okay. So this is the basic Express code first of all. And if I run this in node index.js, so now I have a basic REST API. So if I open localhost 3000, localhost 3000, now I'm getting hello world, right? So now my server is working and my Express route is also working. So now I can create. So you can ask the ChatGPT or Claude or whatever AI you can use. That would be not much of the line of the code. I'll simply just copy this and I'll explain you. This is basically the Node.js code. Okay. So .env is basically used for getting the environment variables. So whenever you need to use about the access key or secret keys, you do not store in plain text in the code. So use environment variables. So that is only stored in the system level and not in the code level. Okay. So for to utilize that, we need to use .env in the Node.js. Then there is Express. It is used for setting up the REST APIs. Then multer is for to handle the files uploads in Node.js. Then we have AWS SDK client S3 to utilize the AWS S3 package. Then we are utilizing Express inside the app variable. Then we are also utilizing storage as a multer memory storage. Then wrap that storage into multer, and then we are utilizing const S3 is equal to S3 client, the AWS region in which we have created the bucket. Then you have access key ID, then access secret key, right? Then app dot post. We are creating a post request. So let me explain about this first of all. So how many of you know about REST API? How many of you know about the REST API? What is it? Do you know? Do you have any idea about the API? What is an API? REST API is a protocol basically. You have different methods here. You have like get method, then post, put, delete. So these are the some kind of methods you work with the API. Get is usually used for fetching some data. Post is usually to upload some data. Put is to update data, and delete is for of course for deleting the data, right? So you can work with any of those methods. So nothing to worry about that. Now, so for the express we have created utilized in app variable. So now we are creating app.post method, and the route would be slash upload. Then we'll be uploading utilizing the multer for that. So we are now adding upload.single file. It will be uploading only one file at a time. And then this is a asynchronous function which accepts a request and response. Then we'll be first checking if any file is sent or not. So if there is no file sent with this API route, we'll throw an error and tell them no file has been uploaded. Okay. Now, if file exists, if in API user is sending a file, in that case, what we'll be doing? We'll be first creating. So, sorry. Okay. So if file has been uploaded to the API endpoint, in that case, we'll be deciding a file name with the random UID. This is from the crypto. Basically, it will generate a random UID like this UUID. So every time you call this function, it will generate a unique value, and it will be always unique. So there is no chances of collision. There is no chance of repetitiveness. So you see, every time I just refresh, it will generate a new UID. Okay. So it will generate a random UID and then the file name as well. So it will be a consistent to distinguish the file. Okay. Then we are preparing a command that is a put object command, and we are providing the bucket. Bucket name will be adding the in the variable right now. Then key is basically the path where in S3 will be uploading. Okay. Then file name we can pass the same. Then we have the body, the actual file, and then we need to also tell them what the content type. So we both are deciding with this rec.file.buffer and rec.file.mime. So this way, we are sending all those information to S3. Then once all these commands are prepared, the protocol command, we can tell S3.send and then command. Then to decide the S3 URL basically, how URL will be there. So in that case, const URL will be this format. I guess for this, we also need to prepare an S3 pre-signed URL because our bucket is not publicly accessible, right? So in that case, I can tell the chat GPT as well that file URL needs to be pre-signed. Okay, so it gave me a new package, and it need to just copy this here, and at last here after the send const signed URL, and then I can just replace it with the file name and signed URL. Okay, I guess that shall work. Okay, we do not have all those installed, right? So first of all, we need to install all this. We need to install all those packages. Express Melter, HTTP client s3.env, and then also the pre-signer. Clear. Now if I run node index.js, okay, what's the problem with this? Port undefined, amp.post. Okay, we do not have this env right now. Port 88. Now if I restart, yes. Now in the port 8080, it's now working. So we also need the environment variables to store. First of all, so what we need is AWS region. Then we have AWS access key and AWS secret key. Okay. And the AWS region is US East 2 because my bucket is in AWS East 2 region. So the region is US East 2. The bucket name is AWS session, AWS bucket. AWS bucket name is AWS this US East 2, and I'll have to create IAM role for this S3 I had deleted earlier. Let me create AWS node S3 attach policies, generate S3 full access, click on next, then create user. Node S3, I'll create an access key. Okay, I'll have to turn off the screen share, and I'll just copy and paste those. Okay, I'll just copy these access keys and secret key. Okay. Now I can just share back. Okay, so now my server shall work, and to test an API, I can simply click on this. I have Thunder client maybe. Yes. So this is an like API client. You can use any of those. Either you can use Postman or any API clients to test the API. Okay. So my route is HTTP localhost 8080/upload, right? And then file name binary. Click on choose file, and in downloads, I can opt for any file and click on save. Method is post, no file auto. In form I need to provide. files. That shall work. The key is file, yes. Upload dot single file. Choose the file and click on send. It will take some time and it shall get uploaded. It's taking too long. What's the size of the image? It's just 4 KB. What's the issue? Let me just check. I guess let me just restart. Okay, so the issue is the file certificate is only available in the paid version. That's why. Let me try another. Open menu, do the post, body, form data. Let's zoom a bit. They do not support file format or what? I guess this also doesn't forward support. Let me use Postman then. In free version, they do not support file upload. Let me just close all this. Post request localhost 80 slash upload body form data file select from local machine, click on downloads. Okay, get upload command is not defined. Let me just import this. Now let me just try again. You see, now file has been uploaded with this name, and if I open AWS console and refresh, so now file has been uploaded, right? And the URL shall work. And if I open this URL, now the URL is working. So this way you can test the S3 file upload. I'll just share this code. In WhatsApp, I guess that script won't be shared. So I'm sharing in the chat as well. And you need to create an .env file, and you will need to use the access key and secret key. Then only you will be able to test. So I'll just wait for few minutes and you can try it out. To upload a file, you need some REST API clients, and then only it will be supported. I'll just wait for 5 minutes and let's see. Everyone, let try this to run the code. I guess in the yesterday session, I had already told you to install Node.js. So I hope you have Node.js installed and you can try it out. I'll just wait for a few minutes to try it out. Everyone just try this. Okay, I guess now we can proceed with EC2 deployment. Let me just move back to this and we'll create an EC2 instance and we'll try to deploy it in production. Okay, I'll also create another route web.get only. I can just simply use that. In Express, we have this. No? Okay, so now we have two endpoints. I can use health endpoint. So we have a get request and a post request. And now we will use this to deploy in our EC2 instance. So I'll just click on instance, click on launch instance, and use Ubuntu S3 upload. I can just do this. And then we have T3 micro instance. That would be enough. I guess we had already created a key pair yesterday, right? We had this PM file, AWS session. Just a moment. Okay. So we had already AWS session EC2. I can utilize the same. Okay, and I would need HTTP traffic. Volumes I do not need. I can just create on launch instance. So now instance is being created. I'll just wait for 1 minute so that it gets set up, and then I can log into my SSH tunnel. I can just click on this SSH client and I will do this terminal. What's the issue? Host cannot be staged. I guess it's still running. Let's wait for some time. Let's see it has been set up or not. Okay, so now the Ubuntu service is now running. So first of all, we'll have to do install all those things. So first of all, let's update everything. Sudo apt update. once Ubuntu is updated, then we will also upgrade. Now we need to install Node.js. Node.js Ubuntu. Mhm. Mm, What's the command? Yes, I guess with the npm reload your profile, then npm latest. I guess node source. I guess this shall work. Then sudo apt install node.js. I guess now it shall work. Sorry, node version. Yes. So node has been installed now, and I will also check the npm version. npm is not found. I guess we need to install the npm as well. Wait a second. Okay, it will take some time to set up. Why it's taking too long? Oh, so now it may have installed node version and npm version. Okay, so now node and npm both are installed. Now we can simply copy these files there, right? Either there's two options. Either I can just create everything uh, here itself, or I can just clone with the Git, or I can just transfer all these files from using SCP. Like we have the SSH tunnel same way, we can just copy all those things. Okay, so what I can do, I can just copy this SCP. I guess I can simply just copy this file for now, so I can directly access SCP/I, then the PM file, and then I just need the index.js. I'll just delete all this for now, and I'll simply transfer there the instance IP. Hold on a second. What's the SCP command? SCP files copy. I guess that's the same thing. SCP part2 local file, AWS session, and then I guess slash index.js. Let's see there. ls, nothing there. SCP remote path and path to the directory. No, I need to just copy it from there. So local file and the remote directory. That's what I just did. Let me just set up one of those. CD upload slash upload. Upload is not a directory. So why SCP is not working in that case? Let me just check once. We had already this upload directory, right? So why it's not working with this SCP? What's the SCP command? Okay, SCP file name, remote user, and the remote directory. That's it, correct? Let me just write again this command. SCP. Wait, what is this? It created in the local. Okay, that's the issue. Now I can just say the PM file AWS session ec2.pm. Then I need like index.js, I need package.json and .env. And then this Ubuntu. I guess we need backtick. There is no such directory. Why? The same user Let me try with the IP, then maybe. I don't know what's the issue going on with this. Ubuntu at the rate. Yes, then we can provide the directory. And also there is SAP. SAP file.txt and then username. That shall work. Okay, yes. Now let's try. mkdir upload permission has been denied. Why is this happening? I guess we need to create a new key for this. Let me just create another instance and with a fresh key pair. I guess that shall work then. Create a new pair. Create launch instance. Maybe like reusing the PM file is not working. Okay. Now I guess then we can simply do apt update. No, just source. Okay, now let me just do chmod. And done. And now I guess SSH shall work. Okay, so SSH is now working and SAP shall also work. First of all, let's see if node is installed or not. Node and npm both have been installed. I'll just create a new directory. Cd upload. Now let's copy this s3pm file here and now try uploading that. Control scp/i s3 new .pm file, then I need index.js, package.json, these two files I made, and then the Ubuntu pm slash what's the location here directory. Okay, so it's slash home Ubuntu upload. I guess then it shall upload slash home Ubuntu slash upload. Okay, now the file has been uploaded, and if I do ls, so now this file is there. I also copy the env file. Okay, so now I have all these three files, and I can just clear this and do npm install. Okay, so now npm install is done, and if I do ls /la, so I have .env index node modules package and all those. So now I can do node index.js. Let's see if it works or not. The IP for public shall be s3 new public IP 8080. Okay, in this I had not enabled HTTPS. In the networking tab, I need to update the inbound rules, maybe security and inbound rules. Security group, edit inbound rules, and I need HTTP traffic. Allow from anywhere, and HTTPS traffic as well. Allow from anywhere. Now let's try again. Copy slash health. Okay, so it's not sending any data with the empty response. So our server is there, and I need the port. Why it's not loading? We'll have to see. What are the inbound rules again? So we have already SSH, then HTTPS and HTTP traffic as well. Let me create a custom TCP as well. Then I'll, I guess then it shall work maybe. I try. Okay. Yes. So after adding the custom TCP port with the 8080 port, now it's working, right? So if I try uploading files now instead of this and try uploading. Okay. So not help slash upload, and now in production we are able to run. Okay. So we had some of the difficulties, but yet we are now able to upload files from the production, right? So what we seen, what we did, we created a Node.js app. Then we created EC2 instance, added Node.js in system. Then we copied files from local to server using SCP, and then we just did node index.js to run the file, and we earlier we forgot to manage the security inbound rules, basically inbound rules. So you need HTTP and HTTPS, and also custom TCP with 8080 port range. Whatever port you are using, basically you need to expose that in the inbound rules. So once you expose that port, and then you will be able to use that. Okay. So sorry. So what we've seen is using EC2, using first of all S3, we did file upload. We also seen pre-signed URL. Uh, then we also tried in local file uploading, and also uploaded, also like uh, tested in production. Just a moment. And also tested in production. In production. Okay. So what we have explored so far, we have utilized S3, we did EC2, and then we also used IAM rules, right? So this service we have already did. Now we'll be seeing Lambda. So what does Lambda offers? So currently we saw how to utilize a server, right? How we used EC2 instance to set up a server, then deployed the code there, and then we are able to run that. So what AWS Lambda offers, it tells you it's a serverless function basically. So instead of managing your own server, Lambda offers you a serverless architecture. So at the end, they're also using a server, but it's not you managing. It's AWS will be managing the server and everything. And it tells you that it will charge you Lambda charges in CPU compute, CPU and memory compute time, and request count. Okay. So suppose that if you have some kind of an application, REST API or something, which has a very low traffic, right? So in that case, using a server for everything, that would cost you much more than managing everything in serverless. So in Lambda, what it tells you, you can straight up deploy the code, deploy either Python or maybe Node.js or any other code you can deploy in Lambda, and you will be only charged per CPU memory compute time and the request count. So that's what AWS offers. I'll show you Lambda. Run code without thinking about servers. Okay, so let me just open this functions. Okay, then you can click on create function. Then you have multiple options here. Either you can create from scratch, you can either use a blueprint, or even you can also deploy a Docker container as well. Okay, so you have all those options here. Then you can create a function. You can write a function name. You can choose the runtime, either it's Node.js, Java, .NET, or any other options as well. So you have multiple runtime as well. Then you have either durable education, or you need an EC2 capacity provider. Then in additional settings, you can provide what type of architecture you need. So then if you need an HTTP endpoint for that or not, you have multiple options here, right? And in this, what happens is Explorer. So in this, they usually ask Lambda what tells you. It gives you options, either write code, use a blueprint, or use a Docker image. Okay. Now you can use here either Node.js, maybe Python or .NET, or any kind of um, a code you can deploy here. But the only limitations is you cannot do high compute task for long run. In server, basically, a single resource can be heavy, right? You can run it for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, a request and take. But in Lambda, you only need to provide with the lower latency work. So either it's a REST API or something, or basically low compute task you can work here. So you can deploy like a REST API code in the Lambda as well. Now, so suppose that your API gets around 110K request monthly. Okay, and each compute can take around maybe 1 second max. So what you will be getting billed for is you will be getting for 10K seconds. That would be the compute time. Whereas in EC2, you are getting charged hourly, right? In EC2, you are charged on hourly basis. So you are managing the server, you are getting charged hourly. Either it's in using state or it's idle state, that doesn't matter. If your server is running, you are getting charged in EC2. But in Lambda, what happens? You don't need to manage server. You can straight up deploy the code there, and the only compute you are done with the request, that only you are getting charged for the compute time. So instead, you are getting charged here, maybe like in the monthly basis. If you see, you are getting charged for 730 to like 740 hours fixed, right? So it would cost you something around $50 to $60 maybe. But if you have an API request with almost around 2 million requests also, if I guess, you would be getting charged around $5 max. I can think of, if you're using normal REST APIs, that would be the maximum you would be getting billed. So for like REST APIs and everything, if you are on the very beginning stage, I would suggest you can go with the Lambda. We'll be also seeing how we can deploy the same REST API code in the Lambda as well. If there is any comparison, Lambda versus EC2 pricing. Okay. So if you see, you are getting charged how much? $0.20 per million requests. So this is the Lambda pricing. Okay. But in the EC2, you are getting charged hourly. Here you are getting charged for $0.20. So not even $5. You are getting just $0.4 for 2 million requests. That would cost you something around like between 50 milliseconds to 300 milliseconds. Usually the API response are the around that only. Okay. So that's the main difference between managing your own server and if you're having low request count. In that case, you can deploy straight away in the Lambda. In the next session, we'll be seeing how to deploy the code in the Lambda. And we'll also utilize another service called DynamoDB, maybe, so that we can test around the database functions as well. I guess that's it for today. We'd already seen enough services and we'd already tested in production everything. Is there any doubt you can ask? If is there any doubt you can ask. No doubt. I hope then it's clear. You can just create an instance in AC2, try this code. You can try deploying there. You can create IAM roles and test everything. And if you face any doubt, you can ask in the WhatsApp chat and I'll be there to reply. If is there any doubt, you can ask. Else, that's it for the today session. Okay, then that's it for today. We'll see you in next session.